Hey there, and welcome to Shift Happens with Shay. I'm Shay, your host and licensed marriage and family therapist. This podcast is where we dive into all the shift life throws our way, whether it's relationships, mental health, personal growth, or just figuring out this crazy journey of adulting. Here, we're all about honest conversation, real stories, and a whole lot of laughs as we tackle life's challenges together. This is your space to grow, explore, and feel seen. So grab a cozy spot, maybe a cup of coffee or wine, and let's get ready to shift through it all. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, no matter what life brings us, we're in this together. Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you've had an amazing last 2 weeks. Tell me, how did we feel after our last session where we talked about building meaningful connections? Were you able to make some meaningful connections? Were you able to even reflect on the friendships you have now, the relationships you have now? Did you notice some positives? Did you notice some negatives? Did we notice where some changes could happen? And we had some insightful conversations with our friends to pretty much work on having the ideal, meaningful connection. I am curious to know how many of you guys actually stepped outside of your bubble and talked to somebody new, or even kept up with your promises to reach out and reconnect with friends that we may have let go to the wayside. So, just curious, how'd you do? 1 to 10. Of course, I can't hear you, and that's all right, but still, say it out loud in your car or where you're at. Rate yourself. 1 being, hey, maybe we could do a little better. 10 being amazing. I was able to reach out to whoever and it was great. I'd love to hear those in the reviews. I'd love for you to tell me your experiences on IG. And if you didn't feel you were that successful, so you rated yourself like somewhere between a 1 and a 5, don't worry. It's okay. Don't judge yourself. We are all in different phases of our lives and how we are able to reconnect, but it is good to reflect what stopped us from doing that. What are some beliefs, limiting beliefs that showed up for us that made us hesitant to reach out or reconnect with others or even make new connections? This is what we're going to be talking about. Limiting beliefs. I want you to really think about it. Limiting the beliefs. What is that? It means exactly what it means, right? Where I have little faith in myself, where I don't believe I have the ability to follow through on certain tasks. I will say, we all have those. For myself, I've had a lot of doubt whether I was enough. And that can be in many things. Relationships, work, even possibly sorority life, any type of friendship groups and whatnot. Just wondering, was I enough? Am I good enough? Do I need to be prettier? Do I need to change the way I look? Do I need to change the way I speak? How can I fit in? How can I get in at the table? Maybe I'm just not enough. Not being enough is a limiting belief. You not feeling that you're smart enough. You not feeling that you will be good at presentations. You not feeling that you can't go for that job. You telling yourself, well, I don't have the credentials for that. I can never do that. Oh, I don't imagine myself ever seeing myself doing anything like that. Those are limiting beliefs. Like I mentioned, we all have them. My emotional wound is abandonment. That does come from my personal relationship with my father. Woo, daddy issues. Not per se. I'm not going to say my daddy was awful. Like I mentioned in episode 2, my dad was there for my childhood. My parents were really great about telling me they love me, telling me that I'm smart, telling me I can do anything, telling me that I don't have to be like anybody else, just be me. But then, of course, having to talk about the cultural differences of what society does expect out of African American women or just Black culture in general. So though they were telling me I was enough, I probably subliminally got the message of, am I enough? Will I ever be enough for the world? I'm enough for my parents, but am I enough for the world? And then, of course, as I got older, me and my father have kind of fallen out. So then those limiting beliefs of that, if I'm not good enough for my own dad, how can I be good enough for any other man in my life? Those kind of limiting beliefs. I'll never be good enough. My own dad is not even here. My own dad doesn't want to hear my stories. My own father doesn't want to understand me, see me, hear me. So why would any other man want to? Why would any other man want me when he doesn't want me? Those were thoughts I were having around almost 22. I was still 21. So 21 years old, I was having those thoughts. And unfortunately, that same year that I fell out of with my father was also the same year that I experienced my sexual assault. Again, the narrative, am I going to be good enough? Am I even worthy of a relationship? Do men only want my body? Do they not want to know me? Just all of those. So that another me being vulnerable with you guys. Those are the beliefs I had. And it's been really hard working through those. I actually was working through it with my own coach last year with that wound. Understanding my wounded masculinity. Because even though I've worked on being softer, creating a soft life, such as candles, pleasant feelings, pleasant experiences, luxury in my own ways, you never really think about how you're wounded in other areas because you're improving somewhere else. And I just saw myself improving and thriving in all these other areas and didn't even realize I still had a very wounded masculine energy. I overwork, overdo, overperformed, and I have gotten a lot better on that, taking rest because I do deserve it. I am not a machine, I'm a human being, but still sometimes in the back of my head it's like, go, push. You still can do better. And it's not really perfectionist. And maybe a little bit, but not truly. It's not that I'll never be perfect enough for ABC. It's I gotta be good enough. I have to be. So those beliefs that kind of show up in your life. But you can overwrite that. You can rewrite your narrative. Rewriting your narrative is crucial for your personal growth because this empowers you to let you know that you are in charge. Many times we give other people the power to tell us who we are when it should be the other way around. You know you better. Even when you're learning and growing, you still know you better because nobody has walked in your shoes. Nobody has been you for a day, a second, a blink of an eye. When you realize you have the power to reauthor the negative narratives in your life, life is gonna be way more rewarding instead of just sitting in the narratives that other people have for you. That, oh, she's so loud. Oh, she's so ghetto. Oh, she thinks she's better than everybody else. Oh, she's selfish. Oh, she's bougie. Whatnot. Oh, she's not good enough. Oh, she's overcompensating. Whatever narrative, language people want to put on you, you don't have to accept them. Remember that. So, quick journal time for you guys. Prompt time, prompt. What is a belief you've held about yourself that might not be true? Again, what's a belief you've held about yourself that you feel that's not true? And think about it, might not be true. So going into it, like I was saying, limiting beliefs shape our decisions. Limiting beliefs is when we put a barrier in front of us. We tell ourselves no so many times before we actually give ourselves yes. We are telling ourselves we do not trust ourselves to succeed, to overcome, or to fail and get back up out of that failure. Limiting beliefs shape our decisions so we may be more conscious, more cautious, not conscious, more cautious of the decisions we make because we're thinking about what everybody else will think, what their reactions will be, how they'll respond, how they'll feel about us, if they'll want us still here. We base our decisions not based on what we want, our passions, our careers, our needs, our desires. We're doing it based on other people's beliefs. And it makes it really hard because then it becomes so much pressure. Think about that pressure. It's almost suffocating trying to live up to this unattainable and unrealistic expectation. And sometimes the expectations are something we created. The person hasn't even told us that they want this from us or they feel this way about us or whatnot. They may have said one or two things, and sometimes anxiety and insecurity comes into the room and makes us overthink. So yeah, there are times where we create those unrealistic societal expectations. But these limiting beliefs come from childhood, past failures, and as I mentioned, societal expectations. There are times in our childhood where we tried something, and this is so crucial. Your childhood is where you are meant to make mistakes. Your parents' jobs were to tell you it's okay to make a mistake. We're here to guide you. We can correct it. We can give feedback. We can move from here. You can grow from here. But oftentimes, unfortunately, some people will hear, you're not good enough. You got to do better. You got to be better than A, B, and C. No, we got to be better than Joe in the room because, hey, we are people of color. You have to be 5 times better. No, you can't do that. No, you have to do it this way. No, correct that. Why do you do it this way? Instead of just being nurturing and letting you be curious as you figure it out. Or maybe from past failures. Oh man, I've already failed at this once or twice. I didn't like this feeling. It makes me uncomfortable to fail. So because we don't like failing, we don't give ourselves a chance to leap out on faith about a new idea that we may have come up upon, that it just boing, bing, oh my God, this would be so cool. But as soon as this idea comes, you shoot it down and be like, no, that'd be so stupid to do because so-and-so did something similar and they might say I'm stealing it. Or so-and-so said that'd be really stupid. I heard somebody try to step out and they were dragged. No, that wouldn't be good. If I do that, I'm going to fail again. I already failed before. Who's to say this time will be different? That past failures can hold us back. And when you have those beliefs, you don't take a chance on yourself. Like you look at a career and you want to do something and you see the list of expectations or some of the duties and you automatically count yourself out because you don't fit criteria 1 and 2. But wait, out of all 10, you fit 8. Why is 80% not good enough? That's a limiting belief. I have to be 100% good. I have to meet all the check boxes in order for this to work. Limiting beliefs in your relationship that you feel you have to settle because you deserve this kind of love. Even though you imagine a horse and a Prince Charming, you end up getting the pumpkin and you think you deserve the pumpkin. So you just think that, well, again, I'll never be good enough for any other man. This is the best it gets. At least he knows me. He sees me. Yeah, he may criticize me a little bit, but he's only telling the truth. It's true. I just have to. No. Limiting beliefs keep you there because you're afraid that you won't find love or that someone won't love you or pay attention or nurture you. That all those things you believed or heard will be true. And that digs into your self-worth. Limiting beliefs dampen our self-worth. It is like a spear through our heart. It's straight through. Self-worth is diminished when we don't believe. If you can't trust you, love you, allow yourself to make mistakes, be nice to you, be kind to you, be compassionate, who else will do it? Every time you tell yourself no, you tell yourself you're not worthy. That's the message. I am not worthy of this. And I will never be worthy of this. And that's hurtful. And it makes me sad. You'll notice that you don't believe in yourself because maybe the way you hold yourself. You don't look people straight in the eye. You're really nervous in the room. You kind of slouch a bit. You notice that you will take a jab at yourself before somebody else can and say that it's a joke. Like, oh yeah, I know I could definitely eat a whole bag of those. Big bag in it. Oh, girl, why'd you do that? Self-deprecating is super awkward, first of all. I'll say that, not even just as a therapist, but even before becoming a therapist, I always thought it was super awkward to see someone attack themselves when we're just talking about a friendly conversation and they go and jab at themselves. And I just end up just staring like, whoa, why'd you say that? It's super uncomfortable. You either give the nervous laughter like, or you're just like, you know what moment I'm talking about. You all have definitely had one. You're probably thinking about it right now. But yeah, self-deprecation is a huge sign of that a belief is limiting you. So we have these thoughts. The limiting belief comes up, and when it happens, because you probably already thought of some that came up, I want you to think, if this belief were a person, what would they say to you? What is this belief saying as a person? Shoot, you probably can't imagine the actual person who said it to you. We already know what our limiting beliefs will say. What about a positive one? What would it possibly say to you? Maybe it would say you actually got this. Of course I believe in you. Remember when you did this one project before and it was amazing? Everybody applauded you. Remember when you put so much work into it and the outcome was amazing? You're so knowledgeable. You've always been knowledgeable. Maybe the belief would say that instead of saying that you're fat. Take that time. Question the belief. If it was a person, what would it say to you? Self-awareness is the first step to rewriting your narrative. If you are not aware of how you are attacking yourself or how the people around you are attacking you, how can you rewrite a narrative that you've already succumbed to and you're not aware of? You can't. So when you start being aware and noticing that, whoa, that's not right. Why do I talk to myself that way? Why do I automatically default to hurting myself? And most times we do it because we rather hurt ourselves first than someone else get to it. We want to beat people to the punch. And you're not a punching bag. There should be nothing to beat. Sit with that. Just sit with it. Build this self-awareness. It takes some time and it's super uncomfortable, but we can build awareness through journaling. Because if you look back on your journals, I'll tell you, I don't know, I look back and it tells me a lot about myself and where I was. Journal about it. Talk to a trusted friend who has usually poured nothing but positivity into you. You know you've had that friend that's reached out and said, why do you do that? I don't like when you do that, girl. That's not true about you. Talk to them. So you can build awareness and why do I do what I do? Who am I really protecting myself from? What would beating them to the punch do for me? So this is how we're going to start reframing and rewriting our story. Step 1 would always be identify the belief. Write it down. What is that belief that always comes back? What is that the thought that keeps running through your mind? It is usually our core belief about ourselves. Sometimes it takes a little bit to find out what that core belief is. So be curious with yourself. Don't yell at yourself. Don't come at yourself. Don't roll your eyes at yourself. Be curious. Ask why. Why do I do this? Why do I think I will never be pretty enough? And, because, this one time in school, and this person and this person and that person. Okay, but why did I believe that person and this, that, and the third? What about them made them more authority? Because they were the most popular people and they dictated. Who said they got to dictate us? Why were their opinions important? Because I wanted to fit in. Why did you want to fit in? Because I've never fit in anywhere and I don't believe anybody would want to be with me. So if people don't want me, how could I want me? Bingo. We've identified the belief. Write that down. But then challenge it. Ask, is this 100% true? Where's the proof? Where? Ask yourself. And you can write down while you challenge, or you can challenge out loud, because I do that. Sometimes I need to bounce off. Is that 100% true? Are you really undesirable? Are you really not wanted? Are you really unlovable? Are you really the most incompetent person in the world? Will you really never be enough? Because I don't believe those beliefs are ever 100% true. There may have been a time or an experience, but I bet you there's also an experience where you were enough, where you were desirable, where you were loved, where you were reinforced, where you were assured, where you were told you were somebody's sun and moon. I bet you there's a time. Take that time to challenge it. It's important we challenge ourselves. And then step 3, you're going to replace it. Yes, we need to create an empowering statement to shift our mindset. Yeah, not that I'm unlovable or that nobody would ever want me. I'm not meant to be accessible to everybody. Only a chosen few are allowed in my life. Only a chosen few get to be a part of my council, because my presence is a present to the ones that love me. Craft your statement. Take time with it too. At first, it may not hit a little bit. First, it actually might be really uncomfortable, because vulnerability, we have to take that moment to be vulnerable. Being vulnerable is not a bad thing. Sometimes it just feels cringe because we're not used to it. But this is the time for you to really be vulnerable with yourself. Really trust yourself. Give yourself that space to believe. Take that leap of faith to say something nice about you. Give yourself flowers. Recall your accomplishments at work. Recall positive relationships you were able to create and currently keep. Empower yourself and take the time to remind yourself of all your positive traits, your strengths. You are more than a mistake. You are more than that. I also am a big fan about affirmations. I know, they could be super cringe, but guided affirmation practices are great for rewriting negative self-talk. It is science. If you continue to tell yourself something over and over and over again, you will start to believe it. It will become a mantra. It will become your daily thought. And if that is your thought impacts your belief, your feelings, and then that impacts your behavior. If you always think that you're not good enough, or that you'll never be secure enough, or you'll never be confident enough, you will always be unconfident. You won't have any confidence. You'll still look down. You'll still fumble over words. You'll still think everybody is judging you. You will not believe that you can command a room. But if you continue to listen to guided affirmations about self-confidence, embodiment, self-love, health, just mindset shifts, questioning yourself. And I mean in an inquisitive way, not in a demeaning way. When you have these guided affirmation practices, you are rewriting negative self-talk. And then you'll start talking to yourself positively. Because in the beginning, it is so hard to talk about yourself positively. I don't expect that to be an easy thing. It never is. Because if you're used to talking to yourself pretty much miserably awful, you're going to continue to do that. It's not going to be, I know how to talk to myself positive today. No, you need help. So I always recommend, if you love reading, go ahead and pick up some affirmation cards. Go through them. Go through a couple of them and do it for about 5 to 10 minutes a day. It's daily mindset work. We got to invest in ourselves, and this is how we start telling ourselves yes. When you start taking the time, sometimes it's going to be hard to do it daily because it's hard to face ourselves and tell ourselves something positive, something nice, something sweet, something empowering. But you're worth it. You're worth the investment. So sit with yourself. Journal with yourself and challenge those thoughts. Identify the beliefs. Where did they come from? Who told me this? Why was it important when they said it? What does that person mean to me? And is it true? Challenge it. Was that always true? When was there a time that this belief was not true? Write the proof. Write it. And then again, affirmations. If you're not quite the reader, I always suggest YouTube. YouTube is great because lots of people create their own affirmations on there. You can just let it play in the background and you can repeat after it, which I highly recommend because you need to start hearing your voice with those words. It's okay at first to listen to the person and let them say it, but it's more powerful when you start saying it. You hear your voice. You are programming your brain to believe the things you are saying. You're programming yourself, reprogramming, reauthoring, and creating a new narrative that we are these things because we're starting to say them. It's the first time we've said these things with our own voice, our own conviction. Do it. Listen first. That's fine. Where you're at. Don't push yourself to anything crazy. But take that time to listen and then try it. Do it with your own voice. It will cement it even better because sometimes some of us have to actually say it for it to stick. So say it. Visualizations. Ooh, love these. Like imagery work. Ask yourself questions like, if I was a courageous woman, what would that look like? What would a courageous me look like? What would she be doing? What would she be saying? How would she be acting? How does the world know she's courageous? And you write that down. Write down some inspiration. What are courageous women? What do they look like? What do they do? What is different? How am I different from them? Outside of money, okay, guys, outside of that, look at their behaviors. What makes them different? What makes you believe that you can't be that, embody that? Because you really can. You can be anybody you want to be. Be you. Be strong. Okay? It makes it even better that while we're doing that daily mindset work, I want you to also, because this goes into our last session when we talked about those friends that we got, surround yourself with people who uplift your new narrative. If you got a friend that is always one-upping you or embarrassing you in front of people and bringing up your past mistakes like it's a playback, this is not game time. This is not no highlights. That person's not for you. Control, Alt, delete. Yep. Delete, delete, delete. Control, Alt, delete. Block. That person is not for you. They're here to bring you down. So let them go. Surround yourself with people who are going to be there for you, who are going to tell you, yes, mama. Yes. Keep it going. Keep it moving. Keep it pushing. Slay, girl, period. I'm telling you, my friends, what we do at times, because we're so slay, we have days where we will send each other little twerk videos. And it's not like twerking in the videos. It's like the person is telling you, like, did you twerk today? Did you throw that back in a circle? Did you remember that you were that girl? Did you remember that you are that bitch? Go ahead and be her today. And they're fun. They're always a great break in the day when you are feeling so low or you're feeling down or you're feeling tired, and it's just that uplift. Or, for instance, my work bestie and bestie outside of work, she was telling me how she follows this one other podcaster who is a doctor. You guys probably know Dr. Snipe. She follows her stuff, and she saw that she reposted one of my posts, and she was like, oh my gosh, girl, like, you're really out here doing it. I knew you could do it. I'm so proud of you. Look at you getting noticed. Not that I ever doubted it. Keep it pushing. People need you. People need to hear you. Like, you help people. Keep being there. And it pushes me. Like, you want people like that. Because we can already be our worst enemy. I could do battle by myself. If I wanted to bring myself a pity party, I could do that. Not that I would. I love myself a little too much. Putting the hair behind the ear. And what you guys should too. But we're working on that because we are creating a new narrative about ourselves. So it really helps to be around people who love you and want the best for you and understand you and let you make mistakes and not fault you for them. That just say, girl, it's okay. Let's get back up and walk together. Take small actions that reinforce the new belief. So if you're going to be, like we mentioned our example, courageous, if you're going to be a courageous woman, then you need to do acts that you feel are courageous. What would a courageous woman be doing? Would she be telling herself no to the new opportunity after she's already researched it and saw all the pros and cons? No. She would go after it because the pros outweigh the cons and she's got this. And not because she knows everything is going to fall into place, but because she trusts herself that even if it doesn't, she will be able to pivot and still make it a success despite what barriers may come in the way. Trusting that I can overcome the barriers. When it comes to success and stuff, you are trusting yourself that I will be okay past the failures. That's the only way you could get to success. Trusting yourself that, hey, if I fail, it's all right. Pivot time. Take a little pivot. So make sure you're not doing old habits, because the old habits will reinforce the old beliefs. The old habits didn't make you feel courageous or intelligent or beautiful or wanted or that you were enough. You got to do the things that prove to you every day that why you're enough. Every time you do those actions, you are telling yourself, yes, you're worthy. Yes, you're enough. Yes, you're worth the investment. Yes, we are so much more than what other people say. Yes, we don't have to listen to others. They don't know us like we know us. They didn't do this work that we're doing to understand these beliefs where they came from, this hurt. They don't understand our hurt. Why are we giving access to people who don't deserve it? They don't deserve access to your wounds. Stop it. That's a very big step and a lot of trust you're putting in other people more than you're putting in yourself. Trust yourself to explore your wounds, explore your hurt so that you can be stronger from it. And I am not saying that we all need to go through trauma to be stronger. No. I'm saying that if you've unfortunately been through some traumatic experiences, you've been through some hurt, give yourself grace and compassion. Take time for yourself. Don't blame yourself. Stop going on a guilt trip. It's okay. You don't have to be ashamed. No longer let shame shackle you. Let it go. Let that shackle go. You've always had the key, but you've been telling yourself, I don't deserve the key. I don't deserve liberation. But you always did. You always deserved liberation. You got the key. You make the key. You have the secrets. You have the secret sauce. You are the sauce. That's the secret. You're the sauce. So be the sauce, my love. Be the sauce. Yes. How are we feeling about session right now? I just want to do a quick check-in because when we're talking about these beliefs, I know sometimes it can bring up memories, specific phrases and words that we heard that come up in us. And this can be it's a lot. It's heavy. And I get that. I don't want this to be very triggering at all. I just want this for you to take this as a moment of exploration and to no longer fear yourself. You're allowed to be curious about yourself. And you know what? You're also allowed to change. Just because you made a mistake umpteen years ago does not mean you still have to be punished for that mistake umpteen years ago. You are, as a person, are allowed to evolve and transform, to shift, to pivot, all of those. You're allowed to change. You don't have to be stuck there. You are allowed to change. Give yourself the chance to change. Give yourself the chance to be somebody else. And I'm not saying pretend to be somebody else. Recreate yourself. You have the right to rewrite your story. Nobody else gets to take that from you. Stop allowing people to take your story from you. Stop allowing people to tell you what your story is, who you are, what you are, where you're from. Only you know that. You know that experience from front to back, up and down, diagonal. You lived it. It's your story. You get to be the proof for your story. You get to be the overcomer. You are the main character in your story. Start acting like it. Okay, my loves. So, remember, all of that is just, your past does not define you. It doesn't. You get to always get a chance to rewrite, to be someone new. Every day is a new day. If you don't like something about yourself, you have the right and the tools and the mind and the goals. You have all of what you need to rewrite the belief, the thought, or whatnot. You have the right. So, if you're comfortable, I would love for you to share your biggest limiting belief that you're going to let go. I'll put the question up on Instagram after you listen and whatnot. After the episode drops, I'll post it. Post it. I'm going to post it on IG. Definitely, come on, let's talk about it. Let's interact. Let's get into it. I want us to really get down and dirty with each other, get down and vulnerable and shift. I want you all to realize how beautiful you all are and see how strong you are. Let's confirm, let's believe, let's declare the biggest limiting belief that we're letting go. Let's really think about that. I know one of my biggest ones is I want to let go of doubt within my career, because sometimes it's not imposter syndrome, but sometimes I don't feel I'm doing enough for the clients that I have, especially with trauma. And I want to be, there it is, the best trauma therapist for you guys, or just the best therapist or the best listening ear or the heart to be present in your life. And I have to remember that I am already enough. So many of my clients have told me that they're so thankful, just grateful and appreciate my presence in their life. So I know I'm doing enough, but I can't help that I want to do more for my clients and do more for you guys. But I'm letting go of that belief, and I'm going to believe more in career expansion. I'm good enough as I am now. Nothing wrong with me how I am. I want to keep learning. Let me continue to learn and enhance my knowledge, not because I'm not a good enough therapist, but because I am a therapist who loves to learn. I'm a therapist that loves to expand herself, because there's more to me than what I just do right now. That's not saying I'm not good enough. I am good enough. I know I'm really good enough. The stats say so. Yeah, you're allowed to brag. Give yourself a brag session, because that will also help you align with the actions that will reinforce your new beliefs. Just saying, tidbit. Hey. So I just want you to know that. I want you to toot your horn, dang it. So, yes. With that being said, I mentioned vulnerability in here because this work is vulnerable work. We have to dive into that vulnerability, and I'm going to dive into that with you guys more in our next episode. I want us to really work on vulnerability for ourselves. I want us to understand it. Like, what does that even mean to us? And what will vulnerability do for you? What can it, how does this help my relationships? How does this help my careers? How does this help be the person that I want to be, Shay? And we're going to dive into that. We're going to dive into the power of vulnerability and how it can deepen our relationship with ourselves and others, and just how it will impact your mindset and impact all realms of your reality, whether that's family, friends, romance, careers, family, like your babies and whatnot, if you want that. Or if you just, I'm gonna be a forever rich auntie, go do your thing, your nieces and nephews, your god kids. So we'll dive into more of that. I love talking about vulnerability. It is something I still currently work on. We all are. We're all a loading bar. We're work in progress, okay? And nothing wrong with that. Take it, okay? Love it, own it. There's nothing wrong with loading. Wait until they see you come out. But yes, I can't wait for you guys to tune in for that, that big one. So we'll talk about vulnerability on the 16th, okay? So with that being said, thank you so much, guys. Share the podcast. If you loved what you heard today, you got some gems, or maybe you thought somebody who could really use this, send it to them. Be the gift of, hey, just wanted to help you with a little bit of insight on yourself. I know we had this conversation about wanting to change our lives, and I heard this great podcast and gave us a few actionable steps to do it. Share, girl. Don't hold. Don't be a gatekeeper. Share. If you guys have specific topics you want to talk about, DM me on Instagram or reach out to me on LinkedIn or email me at shifthappenswithshay@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you guys. I'd love to hear your ideas, what you are struggling with, what you want to hear more about. If you have a story, send it to me. If you're okay with it being shared on the podcast, let me know. And I would love to give you the answers on there on the next episode. I would love to have a section of it. I would love to have a section eventually where I get to read some of you guys' letters, maybe like two letters or whatnot, and sit there and give advice, like a Ask Shay thing, or Sip and Shift with Shay is probably what I would call it, honestly, to be quite honest. And we really get in there and we will practice this vulnerability work in semi-real time. I would love to do that with you guys. So if you're okay with sharing a story, writing a story to me, I am more than happy to share that on here and then to provide some things. Honestly, I also will not only do it on a podcast, but maybe start videotaping myself. I'm sure you guys probably want a more engaging and interactive, like you're just seeing me, so it makes it feel more real for some people who are visual. And I know I talked about wanting to do YouTube, kind of like you guys video podcast. I'm working on that. I promise, guys. I promise I will do it because it, one, challenges me from my vulnerability and it helps you guys. It's like an in-person session. Also, it's telehealth, really. But I'm working on that. I just gotta get my setup together. I want to create the ambiance. And I get it. I know. If anything, I'll probably just do this in my office so you guys can still feel like you're in session with me. But again, thank you guys for listening. I appreciate all your support. Thank you for those who reached out to me with your kind words and told me how my podcast is doing good. It helps you guys. It helps you guys think. You really appreciate the gems you're catching from here or learning or even just appreciating my vulnerability. I appreciate that a lot because if my vulnerability helps you to start to be real with yourself, to ask the big questions, to explore, I'm happy. I am learning to be a more open book. And I do that because I know my experience helps other people. And I want to continue to help you guys too. So again, reach out to me on Instagram at Shift Happens with Shay. You can find me on YouTube with the same thing, Shift Happens with Shay. You can email me at shifthappenswithshay@gmail.com. You'll find me on LinkedIn at Shantanique Moore King. Talk to me, chat with me, connect with me. I would love to hear from you guys. So definitely reach out. All right, guys. I adore you. See you in 2 weeks. Mwah!